They say a man who spends his life chasing every skirt in the village will one day catch a ghost by mistake. Welcome to Ogidi, the land of beautiful women and even bigger trouble.
Before we dive into the story, please hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and turn on your notifications. Thank you.
In the village of Ogidi, there lived Chief Okafor. He was a man who carried himself like a king, wearing a velvet red cap and a walking stick topped with a silver bed. They called him the sharpshooter, not because he hunted bushmeat, but because his eyes could spot a beautiful woman from 3 villages away. He used to say,
"My eyes are like a camera. Once I focus on a fine face, I must develop the film."
He had a big house with a wide porch where he sat every evening waiting for prey to pass by. Chief Okafor already had 2 wives, Loloifi and Loloamaka. These women were not small children. Loloifi had a voice that could crack a clay pot, and Loloamaka had eyes that saw through Okafor's lies like clear water. Every time Okafor brought home a new cousin or a distant niece, the wives would look at each other and sigh. They knew his cousins always had smooth skin and wore the brightest wrappers. They began to plan a special soup for their husband, not one for his stomach, but one for his wandering heart. One market day, a girl named Eneka arrived from the neighboring village. She didn't just walk, she vibrated. When she moved, the beads around her waist sounded like 1,000 crickets. Chief Okafor saw her and nearly fell off his chair. He immediately adjusted his cap, sprayed London perfume that smelled like onions and flowers, and followed her. He blocked her path and said, "My daughter, your beauty has wounded me. Only your smile can be my medicine." He gave her a heavy gold necklace, not knowing Neka was the daughter of the most feared herbalist in the valley. That night, as Okafor lay in bed dreaming of Neka, a cold wind blew through his room. Suddenly, he began to sneeze. Not once, not twice, but 20 times. Every time he thought of a woman's face, a pepper sensation would hit his nose. His wives heard him and laughed in the next room. "The sharpshooter is shooting mucus today," Loloifi shouted. Okafor went to the mirror, but instead of seeing his handsome face, he saw the face of an old he-goat staring back at him. He shouted and ran under his bed, staying there until sunrise. Instead of repenting, Okafor told his friend Mazichidi, "The gods are just testing my greatness." He went back to the market to find Neka. He brought her a basket of dried fish and expensive lace. But as he reached out to touch her hand, the basket of fish turned into a swarm of bees. The bees didn't sting anyone else. They only chased Okafor. He ran through the village square, jumping over yam heaps and diving into a muddy gutter. The villagers clapped and shouted, "Sharpshooter, your targets are shooting back." The village elders warned him, "Okafor, a man who chases every skirt will one day catch a ghost." But Okafor's head was hard like a stone. He heard of a young widow living at the edge of the forest. He snuck out at midnight, wearing his best white robe. As he approached her hut, the moon turned blood red. Suddenly, 4 tall shadows rose from the ground. They were the spirits of all the husbands whose wives Okafor had disturbed. They didn't hit him, they began to dance around him, forcing Okafor to dance too. He danced until his legs felt like lead, crying for mercy while the shadows laughed with voices like dry leaves. The next morning, the villagers found Chief Okafor tied to a palm tree in the center of the market. He was wearing a woman's wig and holding a sign that said, "I am a goat who doesn't know his home." His wives came to the market, but they didn't untie him. Instead, they sold their peppers right in front of him. Every woman who passed by gave him a small knock on the head. Even the small children sang, "Okafor the shooter, today the gun has jammed." He wept until his eyes were redder than his cap. Finally, The chief priest of Ogidi came and performed a cleansing. He told Okafor, "From today, if you look at a woman with a bad eye, your tongue will turn into a lizard's tail." Okafor was so terrified that he surrendered. He gave all his fancy clothes to the poor and joined the village church. Now he sits in the front row of the choir, closing his eyes tight whenever a woman passes. The villagers still joke about him, saying the sharpshooter hasn't missed a face because he's too scared to look at one.
A man who hunts what he does not need will eventually be hunted by what he cannot escape. Respect your home, or the village square will become your bedroom.
Thanks for watching. So if you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and subscribe for more amazing stories like this one.